welcome back to Flipping Clean Mama. I know, you haven't seen me for a while, right? Well, there's a good reason for that. My husband and I, we got COVID. Where? We have no idea. We don't go anywhere! But anyways, my husband is still getting over his. I hopefully am on the mend. And so right before I got COVID, I decided to take out my arch nemesis. The mid-century modern Hutch that I got back in May, that I made a huge boo-boo on right at the end. I got so frustrated with it that I just stuck it to the side and thought, I'll just do something else. So right before we got sick, I started sanding it all down and redoing it again. And this week, since I was feeling better, I decided to finish it. So I hope you like it. Bought it from a lady that was actually out of the dump. I don't know if she got it out of the trash or she just brought it to the dump to sell. But midway through this project, I wanted to send it back to the dump. But I'm glad I didn't. It turned out great. So I hope you will stay tuned for this mid-century modern nemesis of mine. All right, let's get flipping. Here we go, friends. Meet my arch nemesis, this mid-century modern Hutch. I actually started out like every project and cleaned this with a TSP substitute and then rinsed it all back down afterwards. I did not get that on camera. So at this point on camera, you're just seeing me scuff sand the piece with my orbital Dewalt sander. I am actually scuff sanding it with a 220 grit and just getting it all prepped and ready to paint. Make sure when you are sanding, you are using a mask. Even some ear canceling headphones are a great idea because it does get pretty loud. You want to save your lungs and your ears, most definitely. I was so excited to do this Hutch. I just love the lines. I love the style. But then things took a twist towards the end, or the so-called supposable end of this project because of my own carelessness. The Hutch does have the 2 drawers on there, and the 1 drawer has the velvet lined on the bottom with the dividers. And so I just left that original in the drawer. It wasn't worth it to me to pull it all out. I always like to sand the sides of the drawers as well and the insides just to make them look a little more fresh and new. Get any little lines or imperfections off them. So this Hutch, it had the tracks in it going all the way around where I assume there used to be glass doors. And I didn't want those grooves in there, so I decided to fill them with wood putty. And I filled a few other spots with wood putty as well. However, after I filled it in the first time and then sanded it down, I realized I was going to have to do some more wood putty on it as well. But I went ahead and started priming. I'm using a roller and my Benzinzer shellac base primer just to make sure there's no bleed through that comes through on this piece. And I don't know if any of you have ever done a hutch before, but there is just a lot of different configurations you have to put yourself to paint underneath all the shelves and on the sides, and it just takes a very long time. Then after I did get this all primed, I did take a 220 grit and go through and sand all the rough spots off. Just make sure it was nice and smooth before I put the paint on. When I was doing that, I noticed I needed to still fill the track some more, so I did also put some wood filler in on the track. I didn't tape the sanding or the next coat of wood filler, but I did do that and try to sand it all smooth once again. When you're using a primer, it's just much easier to use a roller. If you have other areas you can't get to the roller with the roller, you can just use a chip brush or some kind of brush you can throw away that's cheap. And I just put my primer on a paper plate and roll it that way. Just less messy cleanup, that way I can just throw the plate away when I'm done. And if you need to prime some more later or keep the roller for later, you can just put that in a plastic Ziploc bag and zip it up so it stays moist. So I got that all primed, and now I'm going to start painting with Dixie Belle's in the navy chalk paint and my 2-inch zebra brush. This was my first time using chalk paint, and I did spray it with some water on the brush and then on the project as I went along and painted. Just helps it spread better and creates less brush strokes if you add a little water into the chalk paint. Again, it just took a very long time to paint by hand all the areas of a hutch. I would suggest if you have a paint sprayer and you're going to do a hutch, use the paint sprayer. I love the brush for many projects, but a sprayer would be much more efficient time-wise on this hutch, that's for sure. You can see my little helper is in the background there. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I really hope you will subscribe and help my channel grow. Share it with your friends. Like and comment. Let me know if you have used Dixie Belle's chalk paint, or even if you've used this color of Dixie Belle's chalk paint in the navy. I'm a sucker for blues. I love blue paints, and I love navy. There's my husband walking through. Alright, now here I'm to the second coat of the paint. My plan was to do 2 coats of paint and then to wax the top coat on, in which I did. But let me tell you while you're watching me paint the second coat, what happened. So, after I got done with this second coat that you see me doing here, I used Dixie Belle's Best Dang Wax, which is a great wax, but I never used wax before. So I went and I applied the wax, and I let it sit for about 20 minutes, and then I went through and I buffed it all out, so I thought. Must not have got it buffed completely as good as I should have, and then I sat it on the side inside my garage door, sort of over there straight over there by that stool that you see sitting there. And as that was curing, the next day I started another project, and I brought my project out around the outside of the garage. There's a plug-in outside of there, and I started sanding it. Well, I thought that my hutch was far enough in that the sand dust shouldn't blow on it, but apparently it was not. Because once I got done sanding my other project and came in the garage, all dust particles were sticking to my wax. Oh no! It was horrible. And I tried to buff them out, and they just weren't coming out the way I liked. And I called my friend who also flips furniture, and I was asking her advice, and I just got so frustrated with my mistake and the mess that I just put it to the side for several months and forget it. I literally wanted to send it back to the dump. spent all that time painting and top coating, and then I go and ruin it by having it too close to my sander. What a dumb mistake. But anyways, so fast forward to September, the very end of September, I decided to get it out and get it done. So here's me, just comment here is me doing the doors, painting the doors. And I primed them first as well. And then gave them 2 coats of paint. And then of course I had to redo it again. So anyways, when I got this piece back out in September, I decided I had just got my new sprayer, as you all know, for my birthday. So I decided I was just going to sand it all down and spray it with a sprayer. So coming up, you will see me fixing the hutch. So once I got this all sanded down again, when I went to fix it, I noticed there were still some bumps and lumps in my tracks that I covered. So I took that wood filler and just did a whole nother coat again. I sanded all the wax off of the hutch. I sanded down the tracks that I put the wood filler in, so I could start again. So here I am just wiping it down after I sanded it with a damp cloth to get all that sand dust off. And then I didn't get it on tape, but I did, like I said, I took some more in the navy paint. And I took my sprayer and I sprayed the whole hutch. And then I sanded it with a 600 grit sandpaper and wiped it all down. And then I decided to top coat it with Dixie Belle's clear coat in satin. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm using their applicator sponge and putting on the top coat. That would be another thing that would be easier to use your sprayer for on this hutch, would be the top coat as well. I've never sprayed top coat yet because I've just started using my sprayer, so I decided to do it by hand because I just could not deal with making another mistake and having to do it over again. So after I did get the top coat all on and it dried, I did go over it again with the 600 grit just to smooth it all out. And then I had to do a bunch of little touch-ups. I really like using the applicator sponge opposed to the brush. For me, it just makes a little less streaky than it does with a brush. Also, I took some blue wallpaper with some white floral design on it and put it on the back piece of the hutch. I didn't get that on tape, but it was just self-adhesive sticky like liner paper, and then I nailed that to the back of the hutch to give it an extra little pop. So you'll see that in the final reveal. I can't talk today. And I ordered that paper just off of Amazon. If you ever have any questions about the products I use, please just comment. I'd gladly tell you where I got different things. I haven't figured out the whole link thing yet, but eventually I'll get the link set up in the description. My camera sort of was turned at an angle here, so I apologize. It's not a real good angle. Those handles were especially hard to top coat and paint because the paint just got stuck in them because of the shape. So here I am, almost finished. There is the paper that you saw that I put on the back, and I put the hardware on here. And I'm still missing a screw on one of the hinges that I need to go get. And I need to probably take the doors off again and sand the bottoms as they're sort of rubbing right there. So I have a couple more little tweaks to do before I list it on Marketplace. I just love that background paper. It really helped enhance the hutch's overall look. So here is the before of the hutch, my arch nemesis from the dump, and here is the after pictures of the hutch. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, I just love that paper. Alright everyone, what did you think of my arch nemesis? Do you think it turned out okay? Considering all the work I had to put into it, and being that I had to put all that work into it, I knew I wasn't going to make hardly anything off of it. I'm lucky if I even break even. Hours and hours and hours, probably well over 24 hours altogether on the whole piece. I put way too much paint in it, having to paint it 3 times, plus the top coat, 2 top coats I ended up having on it, plus the primer, plus the wood putty. All together, I would say I spent at least $60 to $70 on paint and top coats together, and then wood putty and primer and probably close to $160, if not more, all in on this project. I really stopped counting after a while because I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere on it as far as profit goes. I decided to list this piece on Facebook Marketplace, which I have not done quite yet. I have a couple little tweaks to do. I got, like I said in the video, I have to get a screw and fix the doors a little better. But I've decided to list this piece for $350 on Facebook Marketplace. So after you add in everything I spent, plus my total hours worth, it probably won't come back with much of a profit. But I will let you know in the description when I sell it and what I sold it for. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Please share it with your friends. Help my channel grow and get out there. And comment and like the video. Let me know what you think of the piece. I just hope that you will have a great week. It'll be blessed. Thanks for joining Flipping Clean Mama.